Resilience plus Rise, the podcast, where resilience is not just a concept, it's a lived experience. I'm your host, Thomas Carrier, a resilience coach, an ultra marathoner, and a relentless believer in the human spirit's ability to rise. This podcast is a companion to my book, Resilience plus Rise 26.2 Transformative Miles to Unleash Your Marathon of Life Mindset. Each episode is a raw, unfiltered dive into the stories of those who have faced life's hardest battles or fighting for those fighting their hardest battles and emerged stronger. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming another hero. Before we can get into the conversation, few years back, during the time of COVID, I was in a goal or in a quest, that would be a better way, to fundraise for cancer research, Terry Fox Cancer Research. And I took on the challenge of doing 5 weekends, 5 marathons. I was a recreational runner and I was not too sure if I could do it. But what I found was, if there is clarity, if there is commitment, and if there is courage and contribution, you rise above what your goals are or what you're working towards. Because of that event which took place, that gave birth to this book, because I believe resilience is in everybody if they're ready to take it on and build. It's a muscle. Once this journey took on, I came into podcasting, and there I met many heroes who have not only been fighter for themselves, but fighting for others. I met Sachin Latti, who just completed just a few months back a run across Canada for mental health. Today, I've got a distinct honor of a fine gentleman who has taken on the challenge of running across South Carolina, which is around 200 miles, plus to raise for families that are battling cancer. He is an ultra endurance athlete like me, podcast host, a community builder, and a speaker and a performance coach. One of the first things when we had the conversation, I said was, looks like we are the piece of a pod, because we believe in humanity itself. So without much delay, here is Ryan Cass. Ryan, welcome to Resilience plus Rise, the podcast.
Thanks so much, Thomas. Let's rise together. And more importantly, thank you for inspiring and exemplifying resilience, because you are right that resilience is a muscle that we can all build, and I'd say we can all build it infinitely, meaning that, it has no limits. The only limits we have are the ones we place on ourselves. And I'm grateful for people like you that demonstrate that we can push ourselves and our bodies and minds further and harder than we ever believed possible. So it's an honor to be with you.
It's the same. Feeling is mutual, very, very much. So if I ask you about you being an ultra endurance athlete, a performance coach, but prior to that, whenever I look at my own reflection, the way I look at it is that I come from a background of having 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and then slowly moving in a little more than a decade back, wherein I moved into running. It was 2010, wherein I really got into running, a little before 2010. And that has transformed me. So there are born athletes. I know I was not one of them, but there were some reasons that changed my mindset, that drove me to work for the betterment of humanity. Ryan, what's your story?
The reason why I do what I do and why I've entered the performance world, performance coaching world, and ultra endurance world is because for me, Thomas, the greatest gift I've ever received in my life is growing up in a family with a long-standing trend of alcoholism and
Mm,
emotional and mental abuse. So from my earliest years as a young boy, as far back as I could remember, I was often the middleman between my parents and making sure that my house was safe. My mom and sister were okay when my dad, who really struggled with alcohol, would come home late, and a lot of chaotic scenes would then ensue into the late hours of the night, where it wasn't uncommon for me to show up to school late, to lie to my teachers about why I'm showing up late, and that I was up until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning resolving conflicts and making sure that everything was okay. And I grew up living my life in my early years with kind of a victim mentality of, why is this happening to me? Why my household? If my parents and dad didn't struggle with alcohol, and that wasn't a thing in my family, life would be so much better. Little did I know, and what I know to be true now is that things happen for us. Little did I know all of that was happening for me. And I made a commitment as a little boy that I was never going to carry on this trend for my family, and the buck stops with me. So as I went into my teenage years and soon approaching my adult years, I remembered that promise, and I need to make sure that I fulfill that, but also, what can I do that will get me as far away as possible from being the next one to carry on the alcoholism trend? Well, if you want to do well in endurance sports, then you've got to be very mindful of what you put in your body. And it's tough to run a long distance if all you're drinking is beer or alcohol, whatever booze you may take. So really, the way I like to summarize it is, I'm just a man that's keeping a promise that was made to a young boy, that the buck stops with me. And I found that through running, it helped me cope with everything that was going on at home. It helped me envision the future that I'm living today and am creating for what's to come.
mm,
And running is so much more than running. It's therapy. It's the opportunity to build resilience. It's the opportunity to inspire. It's the opportunity to, what we're about to do here soon, running across the state of South Carolina. It's the opportunity to provide to families, to people that are struggling, going through even harder things. So that's what got me into it, was experiencing pain, and then using running to get through that, and then now ultimately help people to build their own foundation for sustained success and push their bodies and minds further and harder than they ever believed possible.
wow. Actually, this is so coincidental that we are having this conversation now, because just a couple of days back, I finished listening to Ed Milet, One More Thing, wherein he says about how he grew to be the person that he is. And
Mhm.
when you mentioned your story about what you grew up with, one of the statements that I mentioned time and again in my podcast is, we all are angels with broken wings. When we hold another, that's when we fly higher.
Mhm.
So changing your narrative, why is that happening? I mean, there was always a choice. You could have followed the footsteps about your dad, about the way the fighting, and you would have felt that's the norm of life. That's okay to live like that.
Mhm.
But the fact that you were mindful in changing the narration, that life is happening for me, not to me, and learning from that. And in that brokenness, you have learned to hold another and helping them to fight their battles and helping them to soar or to run. In our analogy, we would say that itself says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, I appreciate that. And I believe that we all have a choice. It comes down to a choice.
True.
We can either, with things that we obviously wouldn't want to take place in our lives, meaning nobody would wish for their parent to be an alcoholic, just like Ed Milet. Ed Milet wouldn't wish that his father struggled with alcohol, but what we don't get to write all the chapters in the book of life, because if we did, there would be no alcoholism, there would be no divorces, there would be no pain. But then that also means that there would be less gifts, because a lot of the people that we look up to, Ed Milet included, probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the choice that he made to break the trend that his father had created for his family. So I love what you said there, and I wish that that's what everybody ultimately understands. Everything that we go through in life, we have a choice. We can either be made better because of it, or we can make a choice that I'm going to drag my head down. Oh, well, the only reason why I can't do this, Thomas, is because my dad struggled with alcohol, and that's just how it is. So
How could I be different?
right, so it's so powerful that there's so much of our story that we're in control of than we could possibly ever imagine.
And another beautiful thing, Ryan, that you mentioned was running is transformative. And I find my transcendental space at a certain point of time. I run, taking maybe a page out of my own running. When I put in a cause, or when I'm running, saying that, okay, this is for somebody. It may not be putting out words, but just in a mental. It could be the way I put it as sometimes a prayer that somebody is having a challenge and I'm running for them. I've always seen that my running turns out to be better.
Mm.
Rather than the time wherein I'm just focusing on I, me, myself. That gets, at times, I don't know. But again, that's my own take on it. What are the feelings that go through your mind as a runner? Because you have pushed a lot of boundaries. Again, I would stand to say, Ryan, is that your growing up years, and now when you look at your peers or your acquaintances who have grown up with you, and they may be looking at you with an open jaw, like, how do you manage that? Yeah, it happens to me, and because I do not, okay, I would be a little judgmental over here. You look like a runner. Me, people look at me, they do not consider me as a runner. But again, however good you are at running, people always fall into the judgmental trap. What has been your stories on those?
In terms of
The
people,
running and what we have learned on that, or people around the world around you, the world within your own self.
yeah. So I'll go through what I'm thinking about when I'm running. And part of why I love running so much, Thomas, is because if I want to think, I can think. If I want my mind to go blank, it's one of the few things that I have where I can completely go blank and not think, and I can just be and exist and just left foot, right foot. And that's what I love. It's so, it could be intense and it could be therapeutic. Like there's so many things that can coexist within running. I wish everybody could experience it, but it depends. When I'm out on my everyday run, I really like to create space for what do I want my future to look like. I find that running helps bring me the most clarity in life, and a lot of what, even the things I get to do today, even as a podcast host, that vision came to me while I was running. So what's running through my mind while I'm running, just on my everyday runs, is usually just what what do I who do I want to become? That's the space I'm creating. when I'm going through a really challenging run, like where I'm racing or going through an ultra marathon, now this is where I'm thinking about how it's bigger than me. So running is bigger than me in that, as I mentioned before, what's coming up is I'm about to run across the state of South Carolina, not for my own challenge or not because it seems fun, but to provide to families that have a loved one battling cancer. That's the ultimate goal here, is that at the end of this, I'll be the answered prayer to people that don't even know me, that have someone really struggling, and we're going to bless them. So I'm thinking about, okay, I have a commitment that I've made to people that don't know who I am yet, that are going through something way harder than I am right now. So keep pushing through it. And that usually gives me some extra fuel. I also think about, there is somebody, at least one person, I believe, that is looking up to me right now, and I am their source of inspiration. So keep going. And I work to remove myself from the equation as much as possible, meaning that, okay, it's other people are relying on me or someone's watching me, and it's now my duty to do my best for them, because who knows what that one person may do. They may go and inspire 5 people to go run, 10 people to go run. So by us as one human being doing one thing, we can inspire so many people. And then the other thing is, what's inevitable about running, as you know this too, especially during a marathon, is it's only a matter of time until the pain finds you. Even the best, even Eliud Kipchoge experiences pain on a run. Even the best of the best experience pain. And when I think about in the moments when pain comes to visit me, is that, hey, this is my friend who is coming to make me better. You mentioned Ed Milet before, and he's one of my favorite speakers and authors. And Ed Milet says that on the other side of pain is a better version of you. So I think about, hey, and my encouragement to people is that when pain does come to visit you, embrace it, because it's your friend that is making you better. It's making you stronger. It's making you more what? Resilient. So by flipping the script on pain as rather as this bad thing to, hey, here's this good force that is ultimately going to make me better at the end of this, then we can push ourselves further and harder. So those are the main things that are running through my mind throughout various runs.
Beautiful. Actually, over there, let me, if I may, take out a nugget, is that when I had taken on this challenge of 5 weekends, 5 marathons, I had not known about my own capabilities. And yes, pain came in as a beautiful friend, as a naysayer, as every adjective, good and bad, barking or soothing me along. But there was one nugget, one anchor when I was running, was that the pain that I'm going through at this point of time is nothing compared to the pain, as you mentioned, the families who are standing around the bed of those people who are battling this challenge. And I was running for them. And when I put that in my mind, the pain became more of a friend. And that helped me to go further. But here, Ryan, what I want to ask is that, tell me about this fundraiser that you're taken on. Do you have a website, or can people contact you in any way?
Yes. So the fundraiser, the upcoming run across the state of South Carolina, it's for my foundation called Breaking Ribbons, which many people know that various forms of cancer have a ribbon associated with it. And in an ideal world, we don't have these ribbons because we have cures. And also, when a runner wins a race, what do? They break tape, they break a ribbon. So hence, that's the name Breaking Ribbons. So you can go to breakingribbons.com, and that's where you can learn more. And there's also a donate tab on there if you feel led to contribute to the run. There's also a separate fundraiser link that'll take you directly there if you go to givebutter.com/runsc, but that's linked in the website as well. So what will be taking place there is we're running from Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is at the very top of the state, my hometown, all the way down to Charleston, South Carolina, which is at the bottom of the state on the coast where I live today. And through that, every penny raised, we're going to select at least 4 families that have a loved one fighting the good fight right now. In the past, this is the 3rd year doing it. This started in 2023 when really I had a vision to do something really challenging for people that are going through something even harder. I've lost a few people in my life to various forms of cancer. So I figured, hey, what cooler way to honor them and to provide to families that are going through the same thing than by doing something really hard for those going through something harder. So 2023, I ran 100 miles back and forth across a 5-mile bridge here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
That on both sides, on one side, there's a 6% grade incline for a mile up. And then on the other side, it's about a 3% grade incline for a mile and a half up. So you're constantly climbing and descending. And that took 22 hours and we raised $5,000. Last year, we did the bridge again, but this time 150 miles, so 30 laps. And that took 43 hours. And we raised $8,000. And then this year, we're going to increase by 50 miles again, because that's just, why not? I guess that's what we're doing. And we're going to bring in more and bless more families than we ever have before. So that's the what and the why behind it.
And guys, if you have not ran, or if you're a runner, you will know, forget about, you think it's a small percentage of rise, a grade, a climb. But as a runner, once you pass a certain point, even a very, even if it's maybe around less than, maybe around 1 meter elevation, you feel the pain, you feel the hurt, you feel the challenge. So it is not an easy one to do. So, and also, guys who are listening to it, Ryan's run is on 4th of December, right? And if it is in you that you can donate something, please go ahead and do it. It's for a cause. And maybe because there might be somebody you know, a friend's friend, or it could be somebody who's very close to you. If you're feeling challenged about donating, at least say a prayer that he does it with ease and joy for the challenge that he has taken it upon. So Ryan, is there any last statement that you would like to tell to the audience?
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity, Thomas, and the opportunity to highlight Breaking Ribbons. This is something that is very near and dear to my heart. But what I'll offer is encouragement that to anybody listening to continue to choose hard, choose hard things, because by choosing hard, you can stay hard when life gets hard. And what better way to choose hard than to go log some miles, as you and I love to do. But I'd say choose hard. And as we're entering this new year, we can create the future that we want by simply writing it down and putting it on paper, letting one person know about it and building a system around it. So if your goal is to go and run your first marathon, ultra marathon, make sure that it's written down and that at least one person knows about it, because studies show that just by writing down what you want in life, you're 42% more likely to accomplish it. And when one person knows, additional studies show that your odds increase to roughly 70%. So as we're going into this new year, it's my wish that everybody challenges themselves, but also to rise to the level that we envision ourselves reaching, it can be done by getting clear on what you want, putting it down, and letting people know about it and looking at it every day. And I believe that's been one of the most transformative and simple activities in my life that I wish everybody gets to experience the power of.
Beautiful. And it may not be running, but choose something,
Mm-hmm.
choose a goal, choose an event that is bigger than yourself, and you'll see your life transform. Ryan, thank you so very much for your space and time, and I wish you all the best, brother. I'm with
But
you very much in spirit.